Hi everyone, it's Robert Newman, and today I'm going to talk to you about real estate prospecting. Okay? And I promise you, if you followed my other videos, I hope you're as excited as I am. It's the start of the year. I usually never fail to bring the goods to my video, and I have every intention of doing 10 times the job that of anything that you can find out there. I've got some secret tips coming up. I'm going to focus mostly on digital, but I'm going to talk about traditional real estate prospecting as well. Before we get into all of that, before you forget, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, and mash that subscribe button. Now, your like for this video, I don't earn unless I give you some kind of valuable information that you didn't have previously that you think is going to help your real estate business. And if I do that, what I'm asking from you is please leave me a comment, like the video. These take a lot of time to produce, and most of the time I'm truly doing it just to try to be of service to residential real estate agents and brokers. And so if I hit that mark, if I achieve that goal, it really makes my day to get a little bit of recognition from you guys who are doing the watching and the listening of this video. So having said all that, for those of you that may not know who I am, why am I qualified to give you advice? Why did you come across this video? Besides the fact that YouTube is probably ranking it because it's got a lot of engagement. Well, here's the reason. I've been selling stuff since I was 17, and that was 30 plus years ago. And I used to run very large call centers for MCI and AT&T, and then I moved into the world of media, cable news, television. I ran some of the largest call centers in the world, actually. Certainly the independently owned ones. And when I was doing that, I noticed that most of the leads were coming in from digital sources. And so I transferred my career 12 years ago into digital, and I got my feet wet at a real estate marketing company by the name of Agent Image. And I started consulting on the side and did a whole bunch of other work, both as a consultant and directly for other real estate marketing companies. And in the process, got to work with some of the best real estate agents in the world. So, and I've been doing that for 12 years. So I've learned a little bit, and I'm going to share some of that about real estate prospecting. Now, first of all, I'm going to cover the traditional real estate prospecting things that you can do. And I have an article up here from Fit Small Business. If any of you have ever searched real estate prospecting tips, you've hit this article because it's pretty much number one in Google. And they're talking about creating a daily plan, find local leads on Facebook, but they're really not going into any detail about any of that. And I am, later on in this video, I'm going to go into some detail about how specifically you go and find these people in these mysterious places, all of which are almost exclusively not mentioned in detail. And that's fine because we don't have the opportunity to go really deep into anything. But I think they were a little broad. And the people that they interviewed, the real estate agents and brokers at the bottom of the article, they ended up giving some very general 10,000 foot prospecting stuff. So let's cover a few of those. All right, real estate prospecting, direct mail. It still works. What a lot of people won't tell you about direct mail is that when you're creating your geographic farm, and look it up if those of you who don't know what a geographic farm is, you select an area, you mail out. It takes just as long as SEO. So if you're going to spend that kind of, and it costs just as much, if not more. So direct marketing, direct mail does work. You have to usually wait 2 to 3 years to see the top impact. Once you've developed your area, you should never let it go. The kind of investment that you've got to spend for direct mail is actually more significant than SEO and other long-term strategies, and doesn't have the same kind of repeat or redundant footprint. However, depending on what marketplace you're in and how saturated other forms of marketing might be, it's certainly still something that you can do. Cold calling. Now, if you're going to cold calling off an FSBO list is probably the only kind of cold calling I would recommend inside of as a real estate prospecting tip. And the reason I say that is that technology has gotten so good at screening out calls. If somebody doesn't already expect your call, you're probably not going to get them on the phone. And the only way you are going to get them on the phone is probably dropping voicemails followed by emails on your FSBO. It can still be very successful, especially if you dial in a really good presentation and you have like a 5-touch follow-up system in place for every single time that you reach out to somebody. There's nothing wrong with cold calling in that specific circumstance. Taking a broader list of homeowners, for instance, and just trying to call them, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying that it would be a little bit difficult to come up with a good strategy. The same thing goes for email. Email marketing in terms of broad strokes like mass cold emailing, not effective. However, email marketing for a list of contacts, a list of referrals, wildly effective. So you just have to understand when to use email inside your prospecting strategies. And then, let's see, so phone, door knocking still works very well, especially in areas that are not the major metro areas like New York and California, where you have troubles getting into restricted access like in New York. And here in California, very few people answer their door. You've got Amazon doorbell things outside. But in the Midwest and like most of the mid-America, if you happen to be in any of those markets, I think that door knocking is still a very sound way to try to introduce yourself. What I would recommend with door knocking, as with any other strategy, pick your neighborhoods. Combine door knocking with other types of marketing, such as leaving a postcard, leaving a business card, maybe coming up with some kind of gimmicky leave behind that somebody can keep. Really decide the handful of neighborhoods that you're going to be in and make sure that you do everything in your power to get in touch with your audience. I personally think that all of these strategies can work, but I've got my secret weapons in terms of real estate prospecting that I'm going to share with you now. So, like, brace yourselves, because I'm going to change the way that you think about real estate prospecting. Because now that I've listed all those methods, those traditional methods with very brief thoughts about them, let me share a little story with you. It's 12, 13 years ago. I'm running one of the largest call centers that remains in the U.S. 1,100 people in 7 different locations. And I have a 3-person web development department, and I'm in charge of marketing for a big media operation. And I mean, like, in charge of it all. So my 3-person department generated as much as it produced 30% of the leads that we had. And we had 1,100 people on the phone doing outbound calls. So think about that for a second. The power and reach of digital, in other words, things that are online, are beyond words. And what is the most powerful thing that you can leverage online? And you can leverage it in all of these platforms that I'm about ready to talk to you about. And you can leverage it for real estate prospecting specifically. It's video. Okay, specifically, if I had to say, while there are many places you could do video, it's going to be on the YouTube search engine, YouTube video production platform, whatever you want to call it. But YouTube is where I would start. So if I'm getting into the real estate business today, I'm not doing any of those other kinds of marketing that I was talking about. My personal experience, I changed my career based on those numbers I just gave you guys. I changed my whole trajectory in terms of, I gave up a career. I was on top, and I was making $170,000 a year, and I went down to $30,000 to take my first job in marketing. That's how deeply I personally believe that the world has gone digital. And I think that I'm hoping that just giving you that information is going to make you guys realize that here you're talking to a guy that has changed his life to match the philosophies that he's discussing with you. I am completely 100% convinced that digital is the way to go, starting with in real estate with video. Now, I'm going to show you some really exciting ways to leverage it if you can get in the habit of creating it. All right? And also, you can do things other than video on these platforms that I'm about ready to mention to you. So everybody get those pens and notepads out. I promise that you'll want them, or notate this particular part of the video. So prospecting. I'm going to give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, technically, ideas on real estate prospecting in 2020. Okay? Are you ready? Here we go. Idea number 1, Nextdoor. So Nextdoor is now prevalent in 209,000 neighborhoods. And what it is it's a neighborhood social media site that a surprisingly large number of people haven't heard of yet. It's still ramping up and gaining traction. I'll bet you a lot of the people that are watching this video have never heard of it. Very similar to other social media platforms, it has events, upcoming events. It's got areas that you can post in. But here's a fascinating thing. Hopefully, in your particular area, like most of the time, you're living somewhere close to your target market. Like you should be selecting, neighborhoods or demographic or vertical. So you got to be a niche marketer in today's world. So for me personally, if I was getting into real estate, I would be focusing on Van Nuys. It's a city I live in, and it's a horrible city for real estate in California. It's literally the most urbanized city in all of Los Angeles County. There's mostly apartment buildings, but we still do about 150 real estate transactions in this city every month. The funny thing is that Nextdoor focuses specifically on neighborhood updates. Many of the things that are fascinating about this platform is, number one, every time somebody signs up in your neighborhood, you get like a notification. You can leave a comment, and you can private message the person that's joining the neighborhood. And honestly, if I was building a niche reputation inside a neighborhood, that is exactly what I would do. So first and foremost, I'd be updating people or posting about the neighborhood every day if I could. And what are things that people post about? Believe it or not, they post about lost bikes, moved trash cans, drains that are stuck, all sorts of very pedestrian topics are discussed inside of this particular social media platform. It is focused entirely on things that would concern neighbors, people that are playing music too loud, all right? If you get something like that in your neighborhood, while I'm not saying be a tattletale, just simply saying, oh, we heard a lot of loud music last night, being on this platform is going to enable you to do something that everybody in real estate should be focused on if they're going to focus on digital strategy, which is becoming the mayor of the neighborhoods that they have decided that they're going to focus and target, okay? And what I mean by that is every time somebody in your neighborhood thinks about neighborhood issues, why in the world wouldn't it be a good idea for them to think of you? Make yourself the neighborhood team captain, talking about things that relate to the neighborhood. If there's troubles with trash pickup, which is a big one in Van Nuys, nobody's telling us, like, if the trash guys are going to come a day late. Parking is a bitch in these neighborhoods. So putting out trash cans a day early and blocking parking spaces is a surprisingly hot topic in this particular neighborhood. If I was trying to generate leads, I would be talking about stuff like that all the time, and welcoming every single person in the neighborhood, private messaging them, and just saying something to the effect of, hey, just want to let you know I'm a realtor that's licensed in this area. But mostly I use Nextdoor to make people aware about issues that are in the neighborhood. If anything comes to your attention that you'd like to discuss, let me know, which now plays into my next thing. Another thing that is prevalent on neighborhood is events, and you're going to hear me repeat this over and over again. There's a surprisingly large number of ways to get into meetups that are happening about your neighborhood. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's just because you don't know where people are talking about these meetups. And you have 3 places that they're doing it. Nextdoor, under events, okay? Meetup.com, a place specifically for meetups. And you can see here, like January 25th, there's a bulky item drop-off event happening. There is a home composting and urban gardening event happening at Lopez Canyon. So do you see what I'm saying? While there's not a lot of people going to these things, if you find something that you feel hot about, you could start to message people, just copy and paste a message and drop it into everybody in this neighborhood and basically create a community event that you stepped up and sponsored online. And imagine the power of meeting 10 or 15 of your neighbors, shaking their hands, talking to them about gardening, and then, oh, by the way, here's my business card. I don't like the business card thing, but you know what? We have to market ourselves somehow or another. All right, so, and there's a lot of other ideas on how you could leverage Nextdoor. My number one thing is get in here today. If you're not here, they built a real estate section about a year ago because obviously Nextdoor is a natural fit for real estate. And I'm guessing that about 80% of you have never even heard of it. So hear of it and become familiar with it because it's important that you do as a real estate agent and professional. Next is Facebook. Okay, so Facebook is wildly underserved in terms of real estate. And what I mean by that is that most cities, I had a client that clued me into this. So I have a client, he's in Delaware, and I'm there doing some video work with him and helping him get some operations level stuff done with his real estate brokerage. And he's like the #1 Keller Williams agent in Delaware, right? And he tells me he's belonged to multiple Facebook groups that have to do with Delaware. So this guy gets a fire engine and dresses a dude up as Santa and decides that he's going to deliver some presents to some neighborhoods. So guess what he does? He drops that into these Facebook groups in the neighborhoods. Now, I was with him. I witnessed this myself. He ended up having hundreds of people show up at the subdivisions that he said he was going to go to. It was one of the most clever pieces of marketing, and it all started with these Facebook groups having to do with a city. So if you're trying to prospect, go to where your prospects are. And they're on Facebook in groups about the city. Anybody that's an engaged community member inside of a city is somebody that you want to be talking to as a real estate agent, especially if the communities in question are mostly homeowners. Like Van Nuys is mostly apartment buildings. So these groups, while I would definitely sign up and be part of them, I'm guessing 80% of these people are apartment dwellers. So as a real estate agent, not of much interest to me. That doesn't mean I still don't become a part of these groups because apartment dwellers can eventually become real estate homeowners. And the beauty of these strategies is that they know I'm a real estate agent. They're not going to talk to me unless they're interested in buying a home. And once they're moving out of an apartment and getting a home, I definitely want to talk to them. Wouldn't you? So next, YouTube. So on your screen, you'll see a name, Krista Mashore, sorry. Now, one of my favorite things about Krista, well, first of all, YouTube is quite literally, if I had one strategy, one recommendation for real estate prospecting in today's world above all others, I'm gonna give you one word, YouTube. So Krista has sold 200 homes using YouTube as her primary marketing method. Okay? It isn't possible to just generate a couple leads. It's possible to fuel your entire business doing nothing but YouTube. Now, this particular video I don't have the time to coach you on how to do YouTube videos for your business, which is why I've got Krista Mashore up here. She's been a guest on one of my podcasts. She's amazing. She's also only one of 2 agents that I know that have leveraged this strategy in terms of real estate prospecting to a really high degree. And the other guy is Christoph Chu. So Christoph Chu has been recognized as the most important video influencer inside of real estate in the world by BombBomb. He's also just brilliant. He has, I think, hundreds of thousands of views on his real estate videos. So Christoph Chu is the name. I will look him up for you really quickly here in the span. So christophchu.com, you guys can see it on the screen here. Go to his website, but most importantly, just look him up in YouTube. You want some ideas about the kinds of videos that you can produce both on the low and high end side. He has hundreds there. He's usually producing 2 to 3 videos per week, and he does everything by video. Market updates, neighborhood tours, you name it, he does it. And his video work on YouTube has gotten him spots in the LA Times. He's been on one of those not $1 Million Listing, but a show that's similar, like a Homes and Garden show. So he's on network cable television now with a show that he's part of or stars in, not even sure which. Video has opened up all the gateways, and this guy is a guy that doesn't really deal in very many homes that are under $1 to $4 million. So if you're wondering if you're a luxury agent, you're going, yeah, but YouTube isn't going to work for me because I'm prospecting for millionaires, you're wrong, okay? Everybody is on YouTube, everybody. So if you produce content that is in your niche, neighborhood content, things like that, you're going to do very well. If you want ideas about the kind of content, I strongly suggest that you go to Krista's channel. She has lots of videos. They're very good. She really knows what she's talking to. And most importantly, she's actually done everything I'm talking to you about. She's done it successfully. She's sold hundreds of homes doing it. Push comes to shove, you can always hire her on as a coach. I'm not recommending that inside this video. I'm just telling you to check out the free content that she has, because if you just spend your own time, you could probably learn everything you need to know. So number 3, oh, and by the way, you can then repurpose those YouTube videos on every single channel that we're discussing. Nextdoor, Facebook groups, LinkedIn, and Instagram, which are my final 2 recommendations. So you can take those YouTube videos and use them 5 different ways to fuel your real estate prospecting efforts. Okay? Krista will actually talk to you about how specifically to do that. But I'm telling you, it can be done. So same video used 5, 6, 7 different times in 7 different ways to get you in front of people that you don't know, that you've never met, that might introduce themselves to you based on the quality of the content that you produce, which is basically just give people answers that they need, which is what I'm doing for you right now, talking to you about real estate prospecting. So the next one is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is insanely powerful. Okay, I'm going to be transparent. I am not a LinkedIn expert. It is one of my weak spots. I have 9 or 10,000 people that follow me on the platform, but I've never really leveraged it the right way. I occasionally produce some content on there. I get activity on it. I love the concept. I know other professional LinkedIn marketers. I know for a fact that they do very, very well off it. I can't name any particular examples inside of real estate, but I promise you this. Even though I'm not giving you a direction with LinkedIn, a thought that I would have would be, if you're going to take my advice on video, video is new on LinkedIn. It's very new. So most likely, if you get out ahead of everybody else and post video, you'll be doing very well. Another thing about LinkedIn is groups exist on there just like everywhere else. So while a group related to your city might be more like a chamber of commerce or something related to the business side, that would not mean that you wouldn't want to be part of the LinkedIn group because you're a real estate professional. Why wouldn't you sign up for and attend all the local business networking events that are available? Ultimately, getting in front of people is your job. I much prefer digital myself. If it was me, I'd spend all my days inside just creating these videos until the inbound leads started to come to me, and then I'd go out and show homes. That's how powerful I feel about video, and it really would work. It's just you're not me and you're not convinced of the power yet, so you're probably going to dip your toe into the pool, and this is a great way to dip into, like, say, oh, I already created a couple videos, and then post them everywhere and see what happens. Last but not least, once again, another place to leverage video is going to be Instagram. So Instagram is definitely one of those platforms that hold on, I'm going to pause. Forgive the interruption. I just realized that I had not yet pulled up my Instagram account. So I've used Instagram, but more importantly than me by far, this is just me playing around with it. And I've got these little 1-minute coaching videos that I did, I don't know, a year or two ago. And I built my audience up to a few thousand people. And actually it's dropped because I haven't done much with it in a while. But I did like a 30, 60-day experiment and had, I don't know, 2,000 followers and probably started about 10 conversations. Instagram was really interesting. But it wasn't, I was finding that the dialogues that I was having were a little bit more unqualified than what I'm used to as a content producer, so I didn't pursue it personally. But some of the best names in real estate have spent massive amounts of time and effort. My favorite example of this is Joyce Ray. Okay? Joyce is somebody, I haven't talked to her in years, and I only talked to her a couple times. I mostly talked to her assistant, but I, at one point, built her a website and did some other work with her, mostly her team. And her co-pilot, Arlene Rutledge, is also somebody I've talked to quite a bit. Joyce is legendary, epic. And she and Arlene both are almost 100% perfect examples of Instagram marketing. And here's what I know and believe about Joyce. If she's on Instagram, she's not there because she's trying to be social. She's there because she's trying to sell real estate. And she's not just trying to sell any real estate. She's trying to sell the most expensive real estate available in Southern California and beyond. Like, she has a list of clients that, I mean, Robin Williams is one of her clients, and she's the one who listed his house when he passed. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So when she's here and she's using Instagram, there's two things that you could learn. You could learn about the proper division of content, how much should be real estate related and how much should be social, how much should be funny. And she does this perfectly. She deals with lifestyle, homes, and others. You know, she divides what kind of content she posts here. I strongly recommend you look at her channel and take your tips from her channel, because most likely she's on here because she's generating business off it. And some of the biggest names in entertainment, if you happen to be in a city that has entertainment related or style, fashion, design, anything like that, then Instagram isn't just like a probably should have, it's a must. It's a must. Because anybody associated with brand, fashion, they're all on Instagram. Like anything that's image-based, media, they're all there. So, and if you don't have any of that, well, you know, maybe Instagram isn't your top choice, okay? Some of these other ideas might be your top choice because everybody's on YouTube. It's the second most popular search engine in the world. So those are my 5 prospecting tips. Starts with video, posting it on some of these platforms, and believe me, I'm barely scratching the surface of what you can do in terms of real estate prospecting. And there's obviously a depth that you'd need to travel here. Like, how do you tag the videos to get strangers to watch it so that you basically get introduced to these people? But I have pointed you in the right direction by giving you, by showing you some of the people inside the real estate space that are just crushing it using these real estate prospecting tools. And I focused on 2 luxury people because luxury is actually a lot harder to get leads than most other things. Like, for a luxury agent to find one person who's going to have $10 million, they probably got to get in front of 10, 15, 20, 30,000 people. That's why the luxury agents that are most successful at marketing themselves are absolutely on digital platforms, speaking to a very large audience, way larger than what can actually afford their product. And what they're doing is they're selling a lifestyle. They're getting a lot of attention, a lot of buzz, a lot of hum around their social media platforms. And then every so often, the right person comes across and sees all the buzz. And just because somebody's worth $10 million does not mean that they don't get excited by your popularity. They do, which means that it becomes easier for you, if you are in that space, to get them as a prospect. And if you're not in that space, guess what? It's even easier. Not harder, easier. So now that we're at the end of the video, because we are at the end of the video, and I'm going to wrap this up, there's 2 other things I'd like to mention. Please, once again, if I've given you any tips or tricks or things that you haven't thought of, or changed your perspective about how you're going to do real estate prospecting now and into the future, do me a favor, like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you learned, tell me what you liked, and hey, if for some reason you hated it, tell me that too. And for that very small handful of you who might be in the market for somebody to do all the digital prospecting for you, My contact information is in the bottom of the video, and you can always reach out to me, and if I've got the time, we can schedule a call and I'll run through some options face to face. Now keep in mind, I'm really an inbound marketing expert that utilizes some of this, but I am a full service operator, so I just do all this stuff under the umbrella of my service company, which at this point has 18 people working for it. So you're looking at one of the very few roles that I still inhabit for that company, which is doing marketing and talking and educating people and so on and so forth. But mostly, I'm just educating. So subscribe, like the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.